let's move on to the new segment. People want to know. So these are going to be guys that we individually have ranked higher or lower than the consensus as compared to the Fantasy Daydreamers. So let's start it off. Brian, you have Devonta Smith, 29th overall.
Okay, so this is before we found out about his MCL sprain that's supposed to keep him 2 to 3 weeks out of training camp.
That's true.
The reason why I am so high on him is that he is talented, very talented. Again, broke a lot of records as a Heisman winner at Alabama. I mean, destroyed Ohio State in one half, like literally almost broke the record for most catches in a title game, or I think he tied it. And Jalen Hurts and him are like that. What's that one Will Ferrell movie? Yeah, First and Last.
Nights.
Yeah. They're like shake and bake, bro. You see them, they're always working out together. They're always and this is the one thing I want. I'm not trying to talk bad about the Eagles, but he is already the best receiver on the team. Just talent wise. They're gonna give him the ball, they're gonna move him all around. I just thought that he's going to average 8 to 9 targets per game. And with that volume, he was going to be able to produce. I'm not saying that he's going to be Justin Jefferson last year, but I thought he was going to be able to be a guy that you can put in your wide receiver 3 slot or put in your flex, and he can produce for you. Another thing that kind of like made this for sure for me is that when Zach Ertz hasn't been traded yet, I thought Dallas Goedert early was going to be the guy, but when Zach Ertz comes back, now they're kind of iffy. And now I think that, Devonta Smith is going to be on the field every single play. Like, he's that talented. It's just, you got to bet on talent at that point. And I thought he's better. And I think his opportunity will be good.
I don't know, man. Zach Ertz is looking young out there. Did you guys see his blonde hair?
Well, I love it, man.
Got that bleached, looking young. Just so you guys know, Ryan has him ranked 29th, Devonta Smith. I have him ranked 37th, Keone 43rd, and intern Aaron 72nd. So
I would bet a lot of money, and I don't have a lot of money. I'm broke. That he does not finish 72nd.
Yeah, I don't think so either. He's too good. He's too good of a player, even coming out of college. I mean, even with the injury, I still think that's too low.
So basically what I'm hearing is I should get rid of all the stock I have in Travis Fulgham, like all the money I've invested in him.
Well, he's the third receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, and this is going to be a real deep take here, if JJ Whiteside comes back and plays the slot, because I guess he's been producing in the slot a lot, that Rager is going to move outside. And so Fulgham now is on the bench at that point.
Yeah.
And the
I don't think Fulgham has a spot.
Got Fulgham on the bench last year wasn't talent. It was that he was really immature and that he wasn't working in practice. So it's an immaturity thing with Fulgham, not a talent thing.
I got to track down that guy I found in the alley then. I bought that stock from.
All right. Yeah. Devonta Smith. Let's see it. Rookie season. All right, let's move on. Keone, Kirk Cousins. You have Kirk Cousins ranked 12th. Intern Aaron's got him 16th. I have him 17th. Ryan 19th. Let's hear why you got Kirk Cousins so high.
So I went and looked back at my rankings, and obviously with Carson Wentz, that changes things a little bit. But I also probably should put him behind Matthew Stafford, so I understand that. But I think even then, because of the whole Carson Wentz things, I still have him at 12. So it works out. But I think he's one of those guys that gets, not necessarily like he's a sleeper, but I think he gets slept on. And I think the Minnesota Vikings get slept on as well, except for maybe Dalvin Cook, because he's like a top 3 running back. And obviously Stephon Diggs last year, because he was like, hey, I'm here in the NFL. I've arrived.
Justin Jefferson.
That's who I mean.
Yeah.
My apologies. I do like Stephon Diggs though, but yes, I meant Justin Jefferson. My apologies to the rookie record breaker. But basically, here's some stats from not Carson Wentz. I can't get him off my mind. From Kirk Cousins. He finished last season incredibly strong, having 8 out of 9 games with 2 or more touchdowns, with 6 of those having 3 or more touchdowns. And on top of that, he had only 3 interceptions total in that span. And in terms of yards, he had 7 of his last 9 games. He had 270 or more yards, with one game getting over 400 yards. So also this season, he starts off pretty favorably in terms of matchups, because about the first half of the season, it's pretty easy. So he starts with Cincinnati, Arizona, Seattle, Cleveland might be a little tough. Then he goes Detroit, Carolina, have a bye week, and then get Dallas. Just serve that up on a platter. And then after that, it's a little bit hit or miss with who he faces. It's a tougher schedule because they have like Baltimore. They face the Rams at one point, and Pittsburgh Steelers. So those are some tough defenses. But I think he has another year under his belt with Jefferson and with Adam Thielen, and they both serve their purpose, with Jefferson being an incredible playmaker, the yards guy. Thielen is the touchdown guy, but they're both incredibly good performers. And you also have Irv Smith, who I think is going to have a really good year. I think this is the year that he ascends to that level of tight end, where he's like a good part of the offense. And I think he's in that sort of stretch that's kind of comparable to Ryan Tannehill, where it's like he hasn't been like for the most part of his season, but now he's hitting like his 2 or 3 years where he's getting good production.
I do like the schedule. He's a guy that in mock drafts I take because of his schedule if I decide to skip and kind of stream quarterbacks.
Yeah. He is one of the guys, agreed with Ryan. He is one of the guys that if I don't draft a quarterback early, he's one of the guys on my list that I'm trying to hit later on just because of the schedule. All right. And let's move on. Tom Brady is my first guy. I have him at 15th. Ryan has him 9th. Keone has him 9th. Intern Aaron got him 11th. And, I guess I'm just calling my shot.
Oh, Max Kellerman, huh?
No.
Oh, man, dropping the bombshell.
No. Tom Brady's going to be great. He's got Mike Evans. He's got Chris Godwin. He's got Gronk. He's going to be really good. I just think there's going to be better quarterbacks in front of him. Like, it's not outside the realm of possibility for Tom Brady to not have an off year, but just finish not great for fantasy, 14th, 15th, just somewhere outside the top 12. And I'm not sure his ADP right now, but I believe he's inside the top 12. So I'm just not taking the shot on him this year. Last year he finished 8th. The year before he finished 12th. The year before that he finished 14th. The year before that he finished 3rd. The year before that 15th. So he's not very often a top quarterback. He is somewhere in the 8 to 15 range. And so I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that Tom Brady finishes 15th.
I agree. The thing is, he just doesn't run. But if they pass as much as they did at the end of the season, it's going to be hard for him not to be a top 12 quarterback. But I do agree. Since he doesn't run, it's hard to predict.
Yeah. And if you look at it, this is not an official stat, but the year after Tom Brady wins the Super Bowl, he usually does do worse in fantasy. It's probably just because you play for so long into the season, your body is just a little more worn out the next season. That's not an official stat, all right?
Official Fantasy Daydreamer stat.
Yeah. Let's move on. Does anyone want to go next? Keone, Ryan, I could go again.
I mean, we're speaking of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So
all right. Yeah. So let's move on. Keone, you have Rob Gronkowski.
I do.
Ninth overall.
Yes. So I think it's because of the position he plays. Tight end, it has a lot of leeway to where if you play even decent, you can be a top 10 tight end.
Score
So
a
if
couple
he
touchdowns. Yeah.
exactly, if you play, or if he plays like close to the level he played at last year, where he had 600 plus yards and 7 touchdowns, that's a top 10 tight end. And last year, I know a lot of people were injured, such as OJ Howard, who we mentioned earlier. Chris Godwin missed a few games. And Antonio Brown was out for like half the season, or he missed half the season or something, because it was like suspension or something to that, or I don't know exactly.
Something we don't remember.
It was a long time ago. We tried to forget last year. But regardless of that, he was 3rd in targets, tied for 3rd in receptions, and had the 3rd most amount of receiving yards on that team. So he's getting the ball. And Gronk getting the ball from Tom Brady is about as inevitable as, say, Ryan getting the Instagram handle incorrect.
Oh, I got it correct last time. Whoa, shots fired.
Or
Well,
if fair enough. Or it's as inevitable as Bruce Arians being a bitch.
yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
So
I can agree with that one.
Yeah.
And I don't think he is good enough to be a top 5 guy anymore. And I also think he's kind of a boomer bust player week to week. But for a season, I think he finishes top 10. And so that's more of what we're talking about versus like if he's good week to week. So that's why I have him as my tight end 9, because he does just enough.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I don't know, like you said, if he could put it together every week. But you're right, he could put together enough big weeks to where he could finish inside the top 12 tight ends. Definitely. All right. I'll go next. I got DeAndre Swift, ranked 13th. DeAndre Swift was technically the backup going into the season behind Adrian Peterson last year. He only had 114 attempts, 521 yards, but he scored 8 touchdowns. DeAndre Swift is an amazing athlete. The Lions are not a great team. Jared Goff, now the quarterback. They don't have very many great wide receivers. I mean, their best wide receiver is their tight end, TJ Hawkinson.
Thank Jesus.
So I think DeAndre Swift, volume alone, is going to get a lot of work. He's got the talent to be a top running back in the NFL. It's just, does the team allow him to be a top running back in the NFL? I think so. I got him right there on the verge of being a running back 1.
Does it scare you a little bit that what's his name? The offensive coordinator, Anthony Lynn, called Jamal Williams the 1A and Swift the 1B? Because that scares me a little bit.
It does not scare me because DeAndre Swift is the better back.
Yeah, he's better. You're right. I mean, we all agree he's better, but he's Anthony Lynn. We saw what he did.
Yeah, Anthony Lynn. Anthony Lynn does scare me, not because of his comments though, just because he is a terrible coach. But they're going to be eating kneecaps over there, so
I like it. You see them all doing like jumpies or the burpees.
Up-downs?
Yeah. I was
Dan
dying,
Campbell was doing it with them, bro.
I like to show the heart, Dan Campbell. Yeah. Show the heart.
No, I don't think you're going to be able to get away from DeAndre Swift. He is that complete back, 3-down back. Jamal Williams will take some work away from him. Williams is there, got him in free agency from the Chiefs. He might take a little bit of work, but DeAndre Swift is by far and away the best running back on this team. And I'm going to treat it as such.
Okay, my question for you, though, is, because I perused the other rankings people had in relation to these picks, and I'm fine. I think it's a good spot you have him in, because you have him like above Najee Harris and my boy David Montgomery, and that's fine. But you have him ahead of Antonio Gibson. It's madness. It's utter madness, I say.
I think Antonio Gibson has a lot more people to play with. There's a lot more people in that room. J.D. McKissick is going to take some time. I think Curtis Samuel takes some snaps. Antonio Gibson is getting a lot of love during camp right now, saying he's going to be a 3-down back. He has the skill set, and we know he does have the skill set. I just think that offense works around him more. I think once we get into the season, DeAndre Swift is going to be so clear in a way the number one running back for the Lions that he's just going to be a volume play.
Okay. I just needed an explanation.
No, yeah. And especially I love Antonio Gibson. Don't get me wrong. I've been on the Antonio Gibson hype train, but I wanted to go a little different here. So let's move on, Ryan. You got Saquon Barkley at 11.
So
is this the injury? Because
it's a lot.
intern Aaron got him 7. I got him 6. Keone got him 6.
For me, it is part of the injury, right? He didn't just tear his ACL. Remember, he had surgery on his ACL, his MCL, and he hurt his meniscus. Okay, that's not a good start.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everything you hear from Giants and him, I mean, he said I might be ready for week 1. The Giants, you hear out of the training camp, hey, we're gonna take it slow. We're gonna take it slow with them. Remember, he's trying to get paid. Dave Gettleman will pay this man. So you need to take it slow, build back his knee. And all those hype tapes never show the knee that's messed up. It's always the good side. And this knee, if you notice that, you never see his bad knee that he just had surgery on. You only see is the one where the quad looks huge because we're working that side out. I think it's his left knee he tore, so you only see the right side.
What do you mean you only see it?
In his hype videos, you never see his left knee. And the ones he posts on Instagram.
Okay.
I'm just saying that's weird, bro.
I'm watching the camp videos, and he's not working with the team. He is off to the side with the trainers, but he is running full sprints.
Well, he's
getting back to it.
He's not clear to practice.
No, you're right. And he said himself, I don't know if I'm going to be ready week 1.
All
so
right, but
it is
I got actually good stats right here.
Okay.
So with Daniel Jones, instead of Eli Manning, he's averaging less rushing attempts, less rushing yards, on average scoring less touchdowns, less targets, less receptions, basically tied for same receiving yards and receiving touchdowns, but he's getting the ball less. He's also only had 1 game of over 100 yards rushing when he had multiple games over 100 yards rushing with Eli. Daniel Jones doesn't drop the ball to him as much. The offensive line is bad. I just think that this is a year where everyone's talking about Saquon Barkley being back as he was before, and I don't think that that's going to happen. And he's almost my bust candidate. I decided to pick someone else, but people are drafting Saquon in the first round, and I think it's the biggest risk you could possibly do. To be honest, I know we always say you don't win your first round or win your league in the first round, but you can lose it pretty quickly. And Saquon being a guy that isn't the guy that we remember his rookie year is a real possibility.
Is this Odell Beckham Jr. coming back? Because Odell was amazing, top of the league, got hurt with the Giants, and just has never really been the same. Saquon Barkley kind of on that same path right now. Top of the league, really good, got hurt, hasn't really ever been the same.
Oh man, I don't know. That's actually a good question because now you're thinking about Odell and you're like, what's the difference was? But I think Odell is a little crazier, he's just on the little bit of the loony side too. And I think that Saquon isn't like that. I think Saquon will be back next year. I think that's when you could start drafting him again. But people have him in the first round, and I just think it's like, did you guys not see the risk you guys are taking? He's worse with Daniel Jones, and he's coming off an injury.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, and it's not like you're crazy low on him. You still have him as an RB1. You're just saying back off just a little bit. I understand.
But so basically, I'm selling all my Travis Fulgham stock and using that to buy Alfred Morris stock.
It's okay. It's like Lamar Jackson last year. you know how slow he started and he picked up, and then by the end of the season, he was doing everything he was doing during his MVP season. But it was too late for a lot of fantasy owners because he started so slow. And I think that is what's going to happen with Saquon. I think he's going to start really slow, and I think he's going to hurt a lot of teams. And yeah, weeks 10 through 16, he might be destroying, but you missed your playoffs because you started 1-6, and it's like you don't want that to happen.
Yeah, there is definitely risk there, but no risk it, no biscuit. So
But you don't risk it with your first round pick. Second round pick, sure, risk it. I mean, you can maybe fix it up, but first round pick, you can't risk it.
Hey you! Check out some of these other cool videos we have, as well as subscribe and click that bell. It really helps our channel out. And don't forget to stay dreamin'.